Harry's Wife, Part 103.26. NFI, you're not in this club. It's very important for a mid-range narcissist to belong. They want to be with the cool kids, or the jocks, or the fashionable kids, or the nerds. But whatever it is, there is a need to belong, hence the presentation of particular facades. Belonging brings many benefits. It makes it easier to control people if the narcissist is seen as a regular person that is socially acceptable, rather than being a crazed lunatic that starts bar brawls at the drop of a hat. It makes it far easier for the narcissist to draw fuel. It gives greater access to character traits and, of course, residual benefits. And there is a big residual benefit by virtue of being able to have a facade. So fitting in is very important. Mid-range narcissists invariably aim high with regard to who they believe they are, but they suffer from a reality gap. Some mid-range narcissists, particularly upper mid-range, and some middle mid-rangers, can be high achievers, although they think they should be even better than they actually are. Lower mid-rangers, less likely to be the case. But nevertheless, they all have in common the idea that they're more than they actually are, that they belong in the rarefied stratosphere associated by other, more capable individuals. And there is this desperate need to belong, and a failure to belong, of course, is a substantial threat to control, and invariably causes wounding to the narcissist. Being part of the club is very important, and of course the narcissist then wants to take over the club, and if the club isn't to their liking, well, certain will throw their rattle out of the pram and retreat from it. For the most part, though, a mid-range narcissist such as Harry's wife very much wants to be in a particular club. She wants to be in the political club, the bananatarian club, the philanthropists club, the women of colour and power club, the women who lunch but do good things club, the women who deliver meaningful and profound insight with regard to the way the world is club. She believes that she has a place at each of those tables because she believes, driven by the delusion of her narcissism to compel her to get there, that she is indeed a member of them, or ought to be. You'll be familiar with the concept of imposter syndrome, where you think to yourself, I don't really know what I'm doing in this job, they're going to find out soon enough. Narcissists don't suffer from that. They believe they belong indeed. They believe that they've always belonged and actually should be doing even better and belong to what's further up in the chain. There's no consideration of, I'm not capable of doing this, but rather, this is my rightful place. This should have been acknowledged far earlier. For Harry's wife, this poses a repeated problem, and it's come to roost once again. Whereas, as we know, she's finding herself the supposed attraction at a 2,500-seater in downtown Indianapolis in November, a far cry away from the arena-filled excursions of Michelle Obama, one of Harry's wife's personal heroes. It's also demonstrative of the fact that she really isn't in the club, although she would love to be. Which club am I talking about? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. But first of all, we're going to have a brief examination of 3 of the women that are in this club and how Harry's wife would love to be in it. The first is Michelle Obama. Now, the point with all 3 of these women is that they are ostensibly known as a consequence of their husbands, but they weren't exactly slouches themselves before they became famous. So the difference is that with the 3 women I'm going to talk about, they all have something about them. They have inherent ability, they have talent, and they would have made their own way in the world. They became famous because of who they were associated with. Contrast that with Harry's wife. She is also famous because of who she's associated with, and that's it. She has no inherent talent or ability of her own, and has always been reliant upon men to give her a leg up the food chain. The first individual is Michelle Obama. Now, irrespective of what you might think about her, she was an American attorney, and she was a graduate of Princeton University and Harvard Law School, and early in her legal career she worked at the law firm Sidley Austin, where she met Barack Obama. Accordingly, although she has ever since been effectively Mrs. Obama and known for that, she could have had a career continuing in the law irrespective of the man that she married. Next, Amal Clooney. We all know, of course, that she has married gorgeous George Clooney. But she is a Lebanese-British barrister at Doughty Street Chambers, specialising in international law and human rights. She's had various famous clients, including Nobel Prize laureate Maria Ressa, former President of the Maldives Mohammed Nasheed, Julian Assange, former Prime Minister of Ukraine Yulia Tymoshenko, and Egyptian-Canadian journalist Mohammed Fahmy. She, were she not married to Mr. Nespresso, would have carried on with her career as a barrister and made a decent enough living from that. The third individual is Melinda French Gates, again known mainly because she married Bill and latterly has been divorced from him. But prior to that, she would have made her own way in the world of computing. She was top student in her class at school and at age 14 was introduced to the Apple II by her father. And then she developed an interest in computer games and basic programming language. She graduated as valedictorian from Ursuline Academy of Dallas in 1982. She got a bachelor's degree in computer science and economics from Duke University and an MBA from Duke's Fuqua School of Business in 1987. She then became a marketing manager with Microsoft, and she was responsible for the development of various multimedia products. She worked on Expedia, and then she left Microsoft and eventually had involvement, of course, with meeting Gates after meeting him at a trade fair in New York. Again, she would have made her way in the world, obviously not as famous, but she would have made her way in the world because she had a decent career, intelligence, and ability. Now, all three of these women have become far more prominent and famous as a consequence of the men they have married. But as I mentioned, they've got ability, talents, and careers of their own. Harry's wife would love to be best buddies with these three. She attempted to hang out with Michelle Obama, who of course has seen straight through her and has since distanced her, partly of course evidenced by the Obama birthday bummer, see parts passim. Amal Clooney turned up at the wedding, but of course was admitted they didn't know Harry's wife, and it's doubtful that they've really bothered with them since. With regard to Melinda French Gates, I dare say Harry's wife would be more likely to be interested in her husband than in Melinda French Gates, and as far as I'm aware, and I could stand to be corrected, she hasn't cozied up to her, but would love to be somebody like her. The point is that an article in Time magazine tells us Michelle Obama, Melinda French Gates, and Amal Clooney are teaming up to support young women. Yes, the very thing that Harry's wife believes that she is brilliant at doing, they are doing. 3 more prominent, 3 more successful, and 3 women who have got abilities of their own and don't singularly have had to rely upon their husbands. The article by Belinda Luscombe tells us Michelle Obama, Melinda French Gates, and Amal Clooney appeared on stage together for the first time ever in New York City on October the 25th at an event in support of the Obama Foundation's Girl Opportunity Alliance's Get Her There campaign. Snappily named, one has to say. There, the 3 women, each of whom has a foundation that bears her name, announced they would collaborate on efforts to advance gender equality and end child marriage. A coming together of the big 3 there. Now, Harry's wife would love to be part of this, and it will have wounded her that she had nothing to do with it, that she wasn't invited, and that she didn't appear on the stage. She will doubtless be aware of this initiative, and it will have truly pissed her off. Firstly, because she believes that she should be there, because she believes that she's the equal of these women. Delusion and character trait acquisition, sense of entitlement. Furthermore, she will feel that they're stealing her thunder by engaging in a collaborative effort with regard to young girls. She believes that she's the only person on the planet that advocates in this way, and anybody else attempting to do so must surely be copying her. The article continues. There, the three women, each of whom has a foundation that bears her name, announced they would collaborate on efforts to advance gender equality and end child marriage. The Girls' Opportunity Alliance, founded by the former First Lady, is a network of community-led organisations that focus on the education and empowerment of young girls in developing countries and the United States. It launched Get Her There on October the 11th as a global call to action to empower and educate adolescent girls around the world. Speaking on Tuesday, the women noted a rollback of progress in gender equity in recent years that had afflicted not just women in poorer countries, but much closer to home. "This issue is personal to me," said Obama. "I have always seen myself in these girls." She recalled her own childhood. "I knew I was smart, I knew I was capable, but I also knew that I lived in a community that wasn't necessarily willing to invest in my greatness. So we have to change that paradigm, and we have to do it fast, because when girls don't learn, we all suffer." Clooney, a co-founder of the Clooney Foundation for Justice, noted that more than 100 million girls were out of school and 10 million a year were being forced into marrying too young. "Who knows how many of the 10 million could have gone on to find the cure for cancer or lead a country," she asked. "And then it's the next generation. What kind of mother can a woman be if she has 5 or 6 kids by the end of her teens?" Obama spoke of her own self-doubt and said it persisted to this day. "Society intentionally does that to women and girls. It starts at a very early age," she said. "There are people with power who want us to stay small. They want us to stay doubtful." French Gates, co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, said that girls need to know it's fine for them as adults not to marry or not, or I beg your pardon, as adults to marry or not, to have children or not, and to work outside the home or not. But crucially, it should be up to them. "One of the shared values that we have on stage is, how do we make sure that girls become the women they want to be," she said. "And when we get them fully to where they want to be in society, they will actually change society at large." Through the collaboration, the three women will participate in joint advocacy and work together to scale and expand each organisation's programming around the world. "I am so grateful that Melinda and Amal, two of the world's most compelling and influential leaders for gender equity, no mention of Harry's wife, how that will sting, are teaming up with the Girls' Opportunity Alliance to help remove the barriers that stand in the way of every girl getting the opportunities she deserves," Obama said. The triumvirate's appearance was kept quiet ahead of time, with most media being told only that French Gates would be present. Contrast that with the behaviour of Harry's wife, who tells you that she'll be taking a shit next month. They shared some family anecdotes, with Clooney saying that her 5-year-old son recently drew a prison and announced it was Russian President Vladimir Putin, and French Gates revealing that one of her daughters had, at a similar age, told a doll that she was going to look after it because it had HIV/AIDS. In a room dominated by donors, the former First Lady told guests that despite the firepower on stage, they still needed financial or popular support. "I don't want you to look upon this stage and say, 'Oh, Michelle, Amal, oh, they got it,'" Obama said. "This issue is complex. We don't have it. We are not here because we'll fix it and you guys can just go about your merry way. We are living through that kind of apathy, complacency, and lack of engagement." This is absolutely the type of thing that Harry's wife would be frothing at the mouth to be a part of. And guess what she got? NFI. Not fucking invited. Oh yes. At least 2 of this 3 she openly admires, Obama and Clooney. And this is the type of work that she believes she advocates for. She sees it as an area that she's involved in. But did these 3 individuals ever consider involving Harry's wife? No. Why? Because they realised to do so would basically be to tank it. That she would make it all about her, that she would talk bugger all, that she would talk beige, that she would spout platitudes, and that she would make it all about her and take away the focus upon what it's actually about. They see through her. They have all had careers before they had the elevation of who they married. Yes, Harry's wife had a career as an actress, not a particularly prominent one, but nevertheless she did have one. But beyond that, she had nothing. And it was only when Harry's wife married Harry that she found herself elevated. She, of course, could have continued with her blog and continued eking out a living as a jobbing actress and would have done reasonably well out of it, undoubtedly so. She would not necessarily have had to be eating out of dumpsters. But she didn't have the kind of career along the level of the three that I've spoken about. And moreover, the important point is this. These three individuals have collaborated, and it's prominent. They did so without having to herald it beforehand. They've got coverage in Time, and it's appeared in other publications also. And Harry's wife, seeing this, will be screaming inside because she very much sees it as her kind of gig and something she should be involved in, and she wasn't. The fact that she has been omitted wounds her, and the fact that at least two of her personal heroes are involved that have not involved her will also cause wounding to her. Not a good day for Harry's wife. Of course, she is incapable of thinking, well, I know why they've not invited me. It's because basically I've been making a complete fuck-up of everything recently, and I'm regarded as damaged goods. Oh, no. Inside her, Narcissist was saying, how could they not involve you? They've taken your idea, Harry's wife, and they're running with it, the bastards. Maybe sue them. Ultimately, she'll complain to a member of the coterie about the failure to include her, doling out a pity play, whinging about it. No doubt now ordering a new genealogy test to ascertain if she's some different constitution in terms of race or ethnicity. And complaining about the way, once again, playing her victim card in order to nullify the threat to control, huge as it is, posed by this triumvirate coming together while she was NFI'd. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.